So finishing the year well, we did this last year. We've updated this a little bit. We're going to take a look at this in terms of three areas. One is how can the church, your camp, or your agency, JFON, how can you promote year-end gifts and then that idea of finishing well? And then what are the tools for the individuals and families as they look at their own giving and their own ministry? How can they evaluate year-end gifts? And then some of the common methods that are used for people, other than writing the catch-up check that often happens this time of year. So for the church, camp, or agency, we're going to take a look at promoting year-end giving, telling your ministry story, celebrating successes, and then highlighting the foundation services to your members, and then saying thank you in creative ways. So the first one is promoting year-end giving, and I would strongly suggest, if you haven't taken a year-round giving strategy to your stewardship, that you do that. David Abbott, Reverend David Abbott, is our stewardship consultant, and he can help churches develop a year-round strategy. But this needs to be more than, oh my goodness, we're behind in our bills, let's send a letter out and get some money in before the end of the year. It needs to be part of our year-round strategy. And it needs to be tied to our mission, overall mission, but it could also be designed for a special project that you have going on, a new ministry or a current need, such as, people are facing large heating bills now, and it could be that you, if you haven't done this in the past, you might say, maybe go a second mile gift to help with the heating bill this year. And then adjust your message for economic opportunities or constraints. So in a really positive year in the stock market, you might really want to push the idea of giving stocks and mutual funds to make year-end gifts. But when the market's kind of shaky and rocky, you might want to focus on something like the IRA charitable rollover. So making the message timely and relatable to people makes a lot of sense. When it comes to the telling of your ministry stories, it's better to select one or two and dive a little deeper than to list a whole palette of things that people don't necessarily relate to with a lot of facts and figures. It's really good if you can get some video or pictures to go along with that. And if you can get a testimony, I mean, that's really the high point. So let's say you have a scholarship fund to send kids to camp. It would be really great if you could get one of those kids to have a testimony time during church to say what that experience meant to them, why they want to go back to camp next year. I couldn't have gone if it wasn't for your scholarship fund. It's really, really important to have that connection with people, brings the emotional tie-in with that. The other thing is to keep it short. We don't want to make this a second sermon in the sanctuary, and so we want it short and impactful, and again focus on the impact, the results of that ministry story. And as an organization, we want to highlight the year. It's almost like a pre-annual report. Look at all the great stuff we did this year. We have a new program, we have some new members, etc. And lift up and say thank you to your ministry teams and committees. People are often wearing double hats nowadays, and they really need to be thanked for their work. They're also going to be the ones that are probably going to be giving you the most money. People's involvement in a church, their volunteer time often follows giving. So these people are people to be thanked, and lift them up in a positive way. And again, focus on the impact of what's been happening in your church. The other piece here is highlight the foundation services, and this is where you might have to educate yourself on what the foundation does. And certainly Roxy is a donor relations person at the foundation. Ted's the president. Pam is our CFO, and I'm the director of development. we can certainly have lunch with you to sort of go through on what would be really good to lift up for your membership of what we can do and partner with you. So you might not know that we offer gift planning services at no cost. So we can sit down with a person in your organization, your church, and look at what assets that they want to give, design a gift plan. It might be a gift annuity or a charitable trust or one of our donor advised or donor endowed funds. But we have those services, and we can work with other advisors as well. We also provide will workshops. We do training for trustees around plan giving and how plan giving can fit into your overall giving in the church. And as I said before, and we'll explore a little bit later, that we do have a donor advised fund, and we do also offer a donor endowment fund. What has become real popular is the charitable IRA rollover for people that are over 70.5 years old that have an IRA. This is probably the best thing since sliced bread. They can make a gift directly from their IRA to your church, and whatever they give to your church will be reduce their overall income. So they don't get a tax deduction, but they do get a tax benefit from that. And then, of course, we offer gift annuities and trusts. So we offer a full palette of donor services. We're your technical back room. And we also offer the ability to co-brand brochures with you. So the brochure on gift annuities and bequests and charitable IRA rollover, it looks like your organization, but we're the back room for that. So we're here to help you in marketing these ideas as well. And then we need to start really focusing in on saying thank you in creative ways. A lot of churches will send out quarterly statements. This is and I would recommend that the pastor is the one that would sign these notes. A note of thank you. I haven't seen you in a while. It's that type of thing. It's not, you're behind in your statement, but it's a note of we really depend on your gifts, and look at what we've done. And then acknowledge legacy gifts, both past and present. So if you have a large endowment at your church, say it's the Sally Smith Fund, and it's really helped you do your ministry. All Saints, All Souls Day is coming up. It'd be a great time to lift up the saints of the past that have given endowments and mention them. Maybe even list their names in the bulletin and say thank you publicly. That's really important, because if I'm thinking about leaving the church something in my will, it'd be great for me to know that you're going to honor that, and that I'm going to be thanked for, and my family's going to appreciate that as well going forward, that I've left something to the church and it's remembered and appreciated. And one of the things that I have really enjoyed in the past 3 years, we started doing Generous Living newsletters, as well as in our annual reports, to interview people, couples, individuals, about their generosity stories. And it's remarkable how much people share about their life, the intersection of faith and money, what being generous has added to their life. And so I invite churches, and particularly pastors, to set time. This might be something you could do on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. Have a donor story in a church newsletter with pictures and so forth. And it's interesting. You think you know people, but until you hear their backstory, you didn't know what they've gone through and how they grew up. And I think it's a great way for people to say, well, maybe I can do that too. The other thing is to send affirmation notes, and I would not tie this to someone's birthday or a year end, but just out of the blue, it'd be nice if someone received a little note card, either from the pastor or the chair of the council. Just thank you so much for your support of your time, talent, and treasure. You mean so much to us. It just, we have to get creative about this. And then use the liturgical calendar. of Advent, of course, season of preparing for Christmas and the Epiphany of, we got the wise men bringing gifts, and Lent reflecting upon fasting as well as almsgiving, etc. These seasons allow us times to be thankful in different ways, and I think it'd be great if we can implement that in our year-round stewardship. So that's how the church can sort of support year-round giving. Now for the individual or family, we're going to review philanthropic goals and giving, a financial plan checkup, evaluate your tax situation, and then what's my legacy. So, and Roxy, if you want to jump in at any point in this, please do. Roxy has developed a program for women in philanthropy. It's sort of a workshop where people can come together over a lunch and write their own personal mission statement, and look at your own impact and evaluate your philanthropy. So if you're looking to do something like that in your church, give Roxy a call. It's a really great opportunity. But I encourage people to take a moment, write their own personal mission statement. And if your family's involved in your church work, maybe you can do this as a family. And that will guide you in evaluating what charities you want to support and which ones you want to avoid. So oftentimes people will, especially people that have a soft heart, will get solicitations, and once you get on one list, you get on many. You start writing $25 checks to several dozen organizations. So it helps people say, what's really important to me, and how can I really make the most impact with the dollars I have? So take time to evaluate the charities we support this year. Are there new ones to support? Some that I want to remove? There's GuideStar and other places on the web where you can help you make those decisions. And then, are you on target to meet your giving goals? If you've set up a pledge this year for your church or an estimate of giving card, are you on target? If you've done really well in your job, you've received a bonus, perhaps you might want to do a little bit more. And what has God placed on your heart for this year and then for next year? Is there some place where you're being called to volunteer more as well as to give money? So these are sort of introspective things for the individual, but they're very, very important. And then a financial plan checkup. How does my charitable giving enhance my financial plan? It might be a great time of year, and this often works with your wealthier individuals, your business owners. They often meet with their advisors this time of year to see if there's any tax situations or giving opportunities that they need to catch up on to make the benefit of the current laws. And it's also a great time to update our estate plan or healthcare plans. Has anything changed in your life this year? Do you have a new grandchild? Was there a death? God forbid you were divorced. Did your health change? COVID really opened people's eyes up to why you need to have a healthcare proxy or a living will plan, healthcare directives. Some of the states, if you're in New Hampshire, they actually changed their forms this year. So even the forms that you have might need to be updated. So check to see with your physician and with your attorney to see if you need to update those things. But this is part of our financial checkup. And then your own tax situation. Everybody's tax situation is different. Certainly every clergy person's tax situation is different. Work with your tax advisor. If you have a portfolio of stocks or mutual funds, this is a great time to look at it and rebalance things. Remember that you want to sell your losses and give gains. The worst thing that could happen with your tax accountant is for them to find out that you've given a stock that had a loss this year, because they're going to be very upset with you because you can declare a loss on your taxes. So you want to make sure that if you have a loss and you want to get rid of the dog, as they say, get rid of the stock that's not performing well, sell that, but then give the stock. If you have some Apple stock or something like that that's done really well, that's still one that you can give and give away the capital gains tax. We'll talk about this a little bit deeper in a couple more slides, but you might want to think about bundling your charitable gifts to receive a charitable gift deduction. Many people for the past couple of years now have not been able to declare on the Schedule A those charitable gifts that they used to. Our standard deduction has been raised so high that for most people, that's what they elect on their 1040. So, but if you're close to that deduction limit, you might want to talk to your tax advisor and say, well, what if if I plan on giving the church, say my pledge is $4,000 a year, maybe I might want to bundle, 4 or 5 years together with a gift of stock to receive that tax deduction and then satisfy my pledge for the next 4 or 5 years. So to get a tax benefit. So those are some things to consider for the individual. And some people have done that. Lastly, what's my legacy? How will my estate plan reflect my faith? One of the interesting things that we've been doing this fall is some workshops, and we have a new board member that's been, we work with now, Dawn Dumana. She's an elder law attorney, and she takes a faithful approach to estate planning. But how does my plan reflect my faith? You can actually put a statement of faith right in the preamble of your will or trust, just to let your family know where you're coming from as you dispose of your assets. And then how can I manage my gifts to my family and organizations that bring meaning and purpose to my life? So it's sort of irksome to me that when I see somebody that I know that has just passed away, and you read their obituary, and maybe they died of cancer, and the obituary reads, in lieu of flowers, you can leave money to the Cancer Society. And it's so often that you see this in an obituary where people, you're leaving to something that took your life rather than gave you life. So it'd be nice to say, include the church in lieu of flowers, give money to my church, or the United Methodist Women, or whatever it is, JFON. And then a way to express gratitude for life's blessings. Teaching generosity to the next generation is so huge. And so we can do that through our estate plans. So again, if you have any questions or comments, jump in. Methods and vehicles for giving. So I'm going to touch upon that charitable IRA rollover, giving appreciated securities, the donor funds that we have at the foundation, and then lastly, split interest gifts and how they work and can complement gift planning. So for those who are over age 70 and a half that have an IRA, now the tax laws did change. The required minimum distribution age did get raised to age 72. But for the charitable IRA rollover, where you can make a gift from your IRA, that still stayed at 70 and a half. And you can give any part of your required minimum distribution, or you can give up to $100,000 a year from your IRA. So for those of you who are not of that age for that required minimum distribution, let's say you have $800,000 in your IRA and you're 74 years old. The required minimum distribution is around $34,000 a year. And if you don't take that money out by the end of the tax year, December 31st, the IRA will assess a 50% penalty on you. So you're going to owe $16,000 penalty because you didn't get that out of there. So that's just an aside. So this is on people's minds that, what am I going to do with my required minimum distribution? The key to this gift is it has to go directly from your bank or your IRA trustee like Fidelity. You instruct the bank to send the money directly to your church. It can't come to you unless you say, send me the check, but make it out to the church. But 9 times out of 10, we're just sending the check directly to the church. The church receives the IRA and they don't pay tax on it because you're not for profit. So you don't have to pay an income tax on it. So it's a great gift for people to give. So let's take a look. There's Bill and Ruth. Bill has an $800,000 IRA. He's 74 years old. His required minimum distribution is $33,000, and they want to give a $5,000 gift to their church this year. They instruct the bank to distribute $5,000 directly to their church, and this reduces their income, their taxable income, by $5,000 this year. They don't get a tax deduction, but effectively they're getting a tax deduction because they're reducing their taxable income.
Gary?
Yeah.
Since you said to just ask questions,
Yeah.
Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Is this any kind of IRA, right? There's like Roth IRAs, regular IRA.
It has to be a traditional IRA.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what you're saying, because I'm not in this age bracket yet, is once you reach a certain age, you're required to basically take money out as your income every year?
Correct, at age 72 now. Yeah.
Okay. And so if they were supposed to take out 30,000, they gifted 5,000, then they're taxed on 28,000.
Exactly.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and that's why if you have older donors in your church or you're working with JFON, you need to make them aware of this. Many people are being told by their accountants now about this, but we need to make people aware that we can receive that as well. It's the best thing since sliced bread, really, for people, someone over 7. I can't wait until I'm 70 and a half. It's great. So gifting appreciated assets. So even though the stock market has been down this past week, things are starting to climb back a little bit. The Dow's up over 30,000 again. Pam DiMartino was smiling for the first time in a week, so she's on our call, so she's probably laughing. Things are looking up a little bit. But if you had, say, $50,000 worth of Apple stock with a cost basis, you paid $10,000 for it. If you sold that, you'd have to pay. You're going to get taxed. Your tax bill is going to be about $6,000. So you could gift that to the foundation, and we can sell that stock, and there's no capital gains tax, and we'll actually send the proceeds to your church, your camp, Encore, JFON, whatever you choose. And we also send out the letter as a service. So again, we're your back room, we're your partner. And if you have somebody that has appreciated assets, we'd be more than happy to talk with them. It's a great idea. The other thing that people can do, and especially for those people that want to bundle your gifts, you probably covered this in your meeting, Jenna, if you were in for 2 hours. Donors can bundle their gifts and send it to their donor advised fund, which is, they used to call it a poor man's foundation or a poor person's foundation, without all the rules. So you can gift stock, real estate into your donor advised fund, and you get a tax deduction in the year that you make that gift. So if I was giving 5 years of donations to my church, I could give that to my donor advised fund at the foundation, get a tax deduction that year, and then for the next 5 years, I can make recommendations to the foundation to send money to the church, the camp, or whatever. The other benefit is you can have your family and friends donate to this fund as well. So let's say I'm at an age where I don't want more stuff in my house. I don't need another Christmas gift. I don't need another tie or whatever. So I can tell my kids and my grandkids, don't get grandpa anything else for Christmas, but let's make a donation to our family donor advised fund. And at this Thanksgiving, we're going to take time after the turkey. And each year, someone's going to get a choice of where they want, what charity is going to receive the income. And so what a great way to teach family about philanthropy, to all sit around and say, you know, if my granddaughter's 10 years old, she's going to make a case on why she wants me to send, you know, the money from the donor advised fund to Lazarus House here in Lawrence, or the Girl Scouts where she is a Girl Scout or whatever. So it's a great tool, not just for finances, but for teaching. Similarly, you can do that with a donor endowed fund. And we started this probably, you know, I think the first one was probably 10 years ago, but in the past 2 or 3 years, we're seeing more and more of these people considering this type of a fund. Historically, people, when they gave a bequest to a church, they just named the church in their will. And the church received $10,000, I might have received $100,000. And it might have said, you know, use the income only for building maintenance or whatever. Because of church decline, many donors have asked the foundation, and sometimes they've even asked their church, what happens to my gift if our church closes? And that's been an obstacle for the donor. It's in their philanthropy is what if. So we've answered that. We said, you can give the money directly to the foundation. We'll set up a family fund in your name, and we'll send the income from your fund, however you want to direct it. It could be principal plus interest. It could be whatever, going to your church. And then if your church would happen to close without a successor, you can name, well, gee, send my income to Camp Aldersgate, or Camp Mitchell-Wana, or to UMCOR, to JFund, whatever. So you have some flexibility there. And that's really helped donors feel confident about making these types of gifts again. And you can set this up while you're living. You can make annual gifts to your fund. Again, family and friends can give to the family endowment fund. And you can complete your gift with a bequest through your will or your trust, or a beneficiary designation from your IRA. So this is a great flexible tool to help people be generous. And it might be the thing to set up before the year end. The other neat thing is people like to have their cake and they like to eat it too. So sometimes you have an asset and you say, gee, I really want to make a big gift through my estate, but I need the income while I'm alive. So the split interest gift is where somebody's going to receive the income. Normally it's the donor. And then when I die, or after a period of years, the principal is going to go to charity. So very often this is done with a gift annuity, and I can give stock, cash. If I'm given real estate, that's going to go to a charitable trust normally. And I'm going to receive income over my lifetime. And I can even set this up to have the income go to a family member or a friend. And then when I die, whatever left in that gift annuity can go to my endowment fund at the foundation, and the income will go to my church. So let's take a quick peek of how that looks. So some of you will remember Edith Bunker from All in the Family. Younger people haven't been blessed to watch All in the Family, but I got rid of Archie because he was a pain in the tuchus. So we just have Edith here, and she's asking herself, what am I going to do? My CDs are maturing. The rates really haven't gone up that much. Inflation's up over 8%. They want to give me 2%. I need more income, and the interest rates really are still pretty low for CDs and bank accounts. So the solution for Edith is a gift annuity, where the payout rate is higher for the older you are. The fixed payments are guaranteed for life. She likes that word, guaranteed. And if the gift annuity is large enough, she can even enjoy a tax deduction. So this is what Edith decides. She's age 80 now. At her age, the gift annuity payout rate is 7%. She sends a check to the foundation in exchange for the gift annuity contract, and she's going to receive $7,000 a year, guaranteed for life. And when she dies, what's ever left in that gift annuity is going to go to her donor endowment fund at the foundation. So when she makes that gift, she's entitled to a $52,000, almost a $53,000 tax deduction. Why doesn't she get a $100,000 tax deduction? Well, if you've ever gone to one of these gala events where they have a great big dinner and you pay $200 for the ticket, they send you something and said, well, here's some information for you. The meal costs $50 and you can't deduct that because you ate it, but you can take $150 for your tax deduction. The similar works here. You can't take $100,000 tax deduction because you're getting money back over your lifetime. At the end of the year, we're going to send out a 1099-R to Edith. And it's going to say, Edith, even though you received your income quarterly, you received $7,000 this year. But the tax-free portion was $4,900, almost $5,000. That's return of principal, and it's not taxable. The taxable amount is $2,000. That means that Edith would have to get a CD paying 9.5% to get the same after-tax benefit as her gift annuity. This tax benefit of tax-free income is only good as long as her life expectancy, which at age 80, I believe it's 7 years. So the longer you live, the longer you're going to live as it goes. So after the 7th year, she's still going to receive the $7,000, but then the schedule is going to show her that it's all going to be income taxable. But for those first 7 years, she's going to be very happy. And then approximately at her death, there's roughly going to be about $80,000 in there to fund her depending how the stock market does and so forth. Might be higher, might be lower. And that's what it would be approximately at her death for her church and her camp. So she's really happy. She's got a guaranteed income. She has a 7% payout that's not going to be impacted by the marketplace. She is going to get a tax deduction this year. Edith is happy. The world is good. So one of the other tax law changes that has taken place, remember we said that you have to take that money out, the required minimum distribution. When a person that dies after they've started their charitable required minimum distribution, when they die, if they're married, it can go directly to their spouse. The spouse doesn't pay tax on the IRA. They can continue the required minimum distribution at their age. This is what happened with my mom and dad. My dad died first, my mom got the IRA, and then when she died, she had the beneficiaries were the 3 sons. I took mine. I had 3 choices. I could take a lump sum distribution and pay income tax on it. I could take it out over 5 years, equal amounts, and pay tax on it. Or I could take what was called an inherited IRA and then start receiving the required minimum distribution at my age, which I received it when I was 55. And because at 55, required minimum distribution is low, it continued to grow. And because I received that 10 years ago, I'm sort of grandfathered in. The grandfather is grandfathered in, that's pretty good. I can still receive that over my lifetime. But if you receive that now, you have to take all the money out of that IRA within 10 years. So let's say you're the only child and mom and dad's IRAs total $1 million. You're going to have to take out that $1 million over 10 years. So imagine if you have a decent paying job and now you add $100,000 a year to it, you're going to be in the top tax bracket. So that's going to reduce the amount of the benefit of receiving that IRA by quite a bit. So again, what planners are talking about now is at my death, that's what that word testamentary is, at my death, I'm going to set up a charitable, the trust is already going to be there. A charitable trust is going to receive my IRA. Income is going to go to my two boys over the next 20 years. And typically these trusts will pay out 5% based on the market value of the trust. So roughly they're going to receive plus or minus $500,000. So they're going to still receive their money, but they're going to get it over 20 years. So they don't have to take it out in 10. We're stretching that out another 10 years so they don't have to pay so much tax on it. And after the 20 years, what's ever left in that goes to an endowment fund at the foundation, the income to my church in perpetuity. And if my church isn't there, I've named some contingencies. So this is why they call it a give it twice trust. I'm giving the $500,000 twice, once to my family and once to my church, or to JFON or whatever. And you can name your college in this. We're pretty. Because we're an independent 501c3, you can include other charities in here as well. So this could be a really good planning tool for people. So year-end planning gifts ideas. Use the foundation. Lean on this. We're your partner. We should be the first people you think of when someone says, gee, I've got this camp the kids don't want anymore up on Great Lake up in Belgrade or whatever, and I have to pay real estate tax on it. Do you have any ideas? Call the foundation. If you need help with the IRA rollover, we have brochures on that. We can give you, we can co-brand those so you can do it in a mailing to your church. I want to consider bundling those contributions to get the tax deduction. Again, give the appreciated assets. Take use of the donor advised funds, both in the donor endowment fund, make that part of the portfolio. And sometimes you might want to consider a life income gift plan to supplement retirement income, increase income, make the gift. And I'll just say for the people in your church that don't have family, they need to be thinking about this ASAP, because without planning, it would be, Jenny, you raised your hand, so.
I was gonna, I didn't want to interrupt you, that's why I raised my hand.
No.
I'm unclear on the difference between a DAF and a DEF. Does the DEF mean you specify one recipient? Is that the difference?
No, the DAF is where you make you're putting money in, and then you're making recommendations. Remember, they talked about probably during your thing, you can't tell them what to do because you've lost control. So you make a grant recommendation of where to send either the income or the principal to a charity. With the donor endowment fund, this is a permanent fund, so you're leaving money to set up an endowment where the income is going to go to your church. So it's a different vehicle altogether.
Okay, yeah, I get it. Okay.
But you can say where you want that income to go, right? So you could set up a donor.
Gary, is my mic working?
You could set up a donor's advised fund and then have your donor advised fund, what's ever left in your donor advised fund, go into your donor endowment fund. So you could say, I put a couple $100,000 into my donor advised fund, and at my death, there's still $100,000 in there. Well, that doesn't stay with the foundation necessarily. It goes into my donor endowment, although you could name the foundation as well. It could go into your own donor endowment fund and have that income go on in perpetuity.
Jacob had a question.
Gary, I have a question about the DAF and DEF. I know like Fidelity offers those, well, they offer a DAF.
Yeah.
And so some people may ask what the comparison of fees are. Can you give that specific of information or?
Yeah, we can tell people what the fee is. Typically, it's going to be for if they're investing in it's like a 60-40 stock to bond mix. Our all inclusive fee is 1.21%. So I don't know what Fidelity's is, but we don't have any other. That includes management and administrating the fund. Might be slightly higher, I don't know.
It's Fidelity, I just learned this morning, is 0.6%.
0.6%, okay. So it's slightly a little higher, but our fund's also socially responsibly invested. So, you know, we're not, it's going to in alignment with the church. So we've taken out, you know, tobacco, alcohol, pornography, fossil fuel free. So you have that as well. And you also have the comfort of knowing that the profit, so to speak, on that fund will support the foundation's other ministries. So the 6% that Fidelity's going is, you know, the profits going back into bonuses and stuff. As much as Ted, I, Roxy, and Pam would love a huge bonus at the end of the year, that's not how we operate. So.
Thank you.
Hey, Gary, just a quick question about the donor advised funds. And there's been some talk that the IRS doesn't like people leaving their money in a donor advised fund for a long time, so they'll take the tax write-off, but they want the funds emptied out within a given period of time. Is that an issue at all, or because that wouldn't be an issue with the endowment fund?
No, it's not an issue with the endowment fund. The IRS has taken a hard look at the and coming up with some new rules. There's even talk of the donor advised funds being subject to a 5% payout like a private foundation to make sure that the money comes out of it. Because you know, Fidelity by assets is like one of the largest, if not the largest charity in the United States, because the fund is so huge. And if I'm doing this primarily to save on taxes, you know, if I'm dumping in a piece of real estate, so I put in $1 million into this thing, I've got my tax deduction, but it might sit there for several years until someone says, hey, you need to start getting rid of this because I've already received my benefit tax-wise. So it really depends on the person. And I think Fidelity's and these other people are starting to do a good job of educating people around this more than they used to, because they're getting pressure from the outside to the reason for the tax deduction in the first place is that you're doing something good for society, either in religion, health. You know, the IRS has the places where you're going to support the community. And if you're not doing that, then why are we giving you a tax deduction? You know, so that's why there's pressure put upon that.
So
But
Gary,
on the endowment side, income is coming out annually, so it's not like it's being held there forever and not being spent.
you made a comment about handling real estate.
Yep.
And my guess is that that would only be the case if the person who is bequesting the real estate to the church does it through you, not if we received a bequest that said, I want to donate this property to you as the church.
So
So if somebody in their will said, I want to leave the property listed in this book at this, you know, this deed to the church, is there any way the church could have the foundation handle it, or does it have to be through
No,
their?
we could help you with that and guide you with that. We have a gift acceptance policy around real estate. And then-
Yeah, I
and that's why,
recently-
you know, one of the things that's super good about the connection and the discipline is that when you receive a bequest from, you're supposed to have a charge conference to receive it.
Mhm.
That's sort of a stopgap. You know, let's put the brakes on here and look at it, because it's one thing if I give you my single family home here in Methuen. It's another thing if I give you my commercial real estate where I did electroplating for 20 years.
Right,
So sometimes, and you know, unfortunately this happens, people give away their headaches. So
Yeah.
I'm not certain, I don't know if it was UNH or there was a college up our way that received a property that was actually a Superfund site.
Mm,
And they didn't do the due diligence and they ended up, once you receive the deed and record it, you own it.
yeah, I
So,
did get the recent email that had the sample gift acceptance policy in it.
Yeah.
So I've been looking at that, and I noticed that there were several things in there that I hadn't really thought about. I have another question for you.
mhm,
Happens to be my father is 90 at this point, not in great health. When he dies, there are 4 of us kids. I don't know exactly what the plans are for giving things, but can I take whatever I inherited and put it into something like these?
sure. So when you inherit assets, if you receive an IRA, any portion of an IRA, when you take the money out, so let's say you do the inherited IRA and you take it out over 10 years. As you receive that, you're going to have to pay tax on it. But let's say you received Apple stock. You don't have to pay the capital gains. Let's say your dad bought it for 10, now it's worth 100. When you
You wish.
receive it, yeah. Or let's say he bought his house for 30,000, now it's worth 300. When you receive the house, you get a step up in basis. So at the date of his death or 6 months later, that's the value that you can claim as your cost basis. So if you receive the house at $300,000, you can sell it and not have to pay the capital gains tax. You could take
Okay.
that, you could take that $300,000 and use some of it to fund a donor advised fund or whatever, right?
Okay,
Yeah, so just give us a call. We'll be more than happy to have that cup of coffee.
Could you talk more about this co-branding back end piece
Sure.
of the work?
Sure, maybe if I can get out of this, I can. Wanna see if I can give you an example. So, we just did this for the Deaconess.
We do it with United Women of Faith material as well.
Yeah, we do. Look at that. I got too many screens open here. Hold on. No, share the screen again. Okay, let me share. Give you an example. Okay, can you see that brochure? You can, okay. So this is a guide to gift annuities. The Deaconess Association, Abundant Life Communities in Concord, Mass. Has a Methodist roots. And they have a giving society, the 1889 Society. So you can see here, we branded it. We use their logo. Amy Copafetti is their director of development. Our information is down here, so it is co-branded. We have to do that with our vendor so that, you know, we're not just giving their stuff away. And then we can use their story. So we had a shared story, actually. Janet Johnson was a resident there, but she was also a wife of a Methodist pastor. And over her lifetime, she had something like 13 gift annuities, and several of them benefited the deaconess. So her story is there. We also did What Legacy Will You Leave? It's a gift annuity brochure. I mean, a bequest brochure. Again, it has their logo, a donor story, how to bequest an IRA, life insurance policy. Then here's the IRA rollover. So talks about how an IRA rollover works. You can give up to $100,000 a year. It gives an example of how it works, that it's only for IRAs and not for 401ks. You can give up to $100,000 a year. So, you know, if you give us a call and give us your logo and stuff, we can help design a brochure and you can hand it out and we all win.
Would you mind sending that document
Sure,
out?
sure, I can send it to you, sure.
That would be great.
And Chris McGuire, I have to give credit to Chris. Chris is the one that does all that neat co-branding stuff, so. And you can, I'll send you the link to our website for our Plan Giving page so that you can have a little piece on your thing for ideas about Plan Giving, have them come to us and well, we can work with them and bring you in. And
The other thing that's kind of cool about the Plan Giving website is there's calculators there, so you can plug in examples and you know, see what your real life situation might be like if you move on it today, because it does change.
well, and if someone says, I'm interested in a gift annuity, what's the rate? You can go to the calculator page and get the rate and actually do a proposal for them. So, and we can walk you through that as well, or just give me a call. The other thing is, you know, we're available, Roxy and I, if you want to meet with a donor, and you don't need to be the expert, you just have to have the connection. We'll come out and meet, sit beside you, and in a very non-threatening way, talk about these concepts. This is not, Plan Giving is not a hard sell. It's sort of long-term and a lot of education and planting the seeds. And yes, there's a sense of urgency because people are older, but people can feel when you're desperate. So we want to make sure that we treat people with respect. The other thing is we have to be very careful on cognitive things. So if we sense that there's some cognitive issues, we want to make sure family is available or their advisor. And the larger the gift, even more so. So like for a $5,000 gift annuity, you know, it's not critical, but if someone's giving you $150,000, you know, sometimes they can want to give it more than they should. You know, is this gift going to impact their eligibility for Medicare if they have to apply for Medicare and go into a nursing home? Is it going to disqualify them for 5 years? So you know, so it can get a little technical. We have to look out for the donor first. This is donor centric. We don't want to, happy donors tell wonderful stories to their friends. Unhappy donors, so we want happy donors. And plus it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do.
Also, in addition to meeting one-on-one, we've designed some workshop type things that are more geared towards particularly women and smaller groups. And sometimes in those small group settings, especially we do it over lunch, often at the church or whatever. But you know, it gets them talking and feeling comfortable with each other. They're also, you know, happy to come and socialize. So you know, happy to do that and, you know, help coordinate sending invitations out and getting things organized.
And sorry, guys, statistically, the women in our life are going to outlive us. And they're the ones that are going to make these last decisions around plan gifts and estate planning. So we want to make sure that we're doing this type of education as good stewards. So it's an important piece. Are there other questions for today? Before we close down, we used up all our time in 3 minutes. So that was. So Ted, do you want to say any parting words before we leave?
The only other thing is, just like we can come with you to donors, we can also come to your church or to your board of directors meeting, Jenna. And
even
meet.
preach.
What's that?
We can even preach.
Yeah, we preach too. That's right.
Well,
But-
I've been up to Jacob's church. I don't know if he would agree that I preached enough.
I didn't have to. It was great.
Okay.
But anyway, that's so you can invite us anytime, and also sometimes folks have a finance meeting or a church council meeting, and it's on Zoom. Just send us a link. We'll be glad to join you as content for that particular meeting, and we won't stay on and take up all the time, but it's sometimes just a little interesting piece of content for you all to discuss afterwards.
And if
This
you're
has been
having trouble
great.
with
Thank you so
reading-
much.
And if you're having trouble reading your reports, Pam DiMartino is available to help with financial. She's the guru. So she's helped many churches and individuals sort of get through the weeds of, those wonderful things like how should I do an audit? Or how big should the audit be?
This will be on, it's being recorded and will be on the website too, so
Yeah.
you
and
need to go
we'll-
back and review something.
We'll send you the PowerPoint and that'll be on the website as well. So
Thank you
Jenna,
so much.
I interrupted you. So what did you say?
Me?
Yeah, I thought
I was
you-
just saying thank you. It's great.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you all. Have a great afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.